Carlos Alcaraz has won his maiden grass court title at the Queen's Club Championship in England and has prepared in the best possible way for Wimbledon. The Spaniard has also regained his world #1 ranking and will be the top seed at the SW19. But can he win the tournament? That's what we are going to discuss in this live. Hello and welcome to WION Sports Extra. I am Nikhil Mathur and I am joined by the sports editor Divya Singh Deo and by my colleague Vidur Kathuria. Grass courts have never been Alcaraz's forte. He has a record of 4-2 before winning Queen's Club Championship. But has he cleared some of those doubts now?
There's a big doubt in the shape of someone called Novak Djokovic. So I don't care if you are ranked 1 in the world or 2 when Djokovic is ranked 100. Djokovic is the king of grass at the moment. And I'm just loving the fact that everyone here around him is playing these tournaments. And he's having a ball. He's on some beach. I saw him on some beach in that, I don't know what's it called, with his wife on that garden chair. Perhaps one of those things like Vidur has in his house.
I didn't know myself.
But there's something else about Alcaraz, which is exciting. Now, Alcaraz came in as predominantly this Rafa Nadal clone, very good on clay. But last year, remember, leading up to the French, it was about how Alcaraz beat Nadal and Djokovic in the same tournament. I think it was Madrid or Rome, I'm not sure, one of them. Madrid. Then, he goes and wins the US. And he's very good on hard. Okay? Then he again does very well on clay. Okay? Is unfortunately injured and Djokovic wins. And now with him winning on grass, I don't care who wins Wimbledon. I'm just amazed that we finally have somebody from this generation who's an all-surface player. Yeah. And the Tsitsipas's of the world have had a very bad run on grass this season. Your Medvedev can't play on clay. He says, we all know what he said. And he clearly isn't too comfortable on grass. So who's left? I mean, it's just fascinating that this kid, took Nadal 4-5 years to actually develop a grass game. And Nadal still hasn't won Wimbledon in a while, right? Yeah. 2008 and 10. And that point he was on that sort of aggressive streak and he won it there. Obviously, Djokovic has transitioned into a fantastic grass court player. But Alcaraz at the age of 20, if you have that game, this kid is going to rule tennis. I mean, Sampras could never win on clay. Yeah. Federer just won. That too when Nadal didn't reach 2009, the Soderling final, when Nadal lost to Soderling. I mean, just saying this kid at 20 has it all. I mean, how long did it take Federer to actually get to that level of winning a French? I mean, so early days for him, just one Grand Slam. But I'm just blown away by the fact that he can adapt his game to grass as well.
I mean, Djokovic hasn't lost Wimbledon since 2017, if I'm not wrong. But do you think with the current crop of players, Alcaraz is the best bet to defeat Djokovic?
Well, without a doubt, I think he is. Djokovic is the favorite, overwhelming favorite. We all know that. We'll have no discussion about that because he is the favorite. But Carlos Alcaraz, and it's so impressive that he's proven himself to be, and Queen's Club is a very prestigious title, arguably the biggest one leading up to Wimbledon. And why players find it so tough to develop a game on grass is also because it's the shortest season in the tennis calendar.
It's 1 month between Wimbledon and the French.
Yeah. So that's why your Tsitsipas's who have had so much success on other surfaces, they haven't been able to develop that grass court game. And that's where Alcaraz, I think he's so comfortable on any surface. I think he has that confidence. If he's given some time to develop and play in a certain manner, he's able to do that. So that just tells you about his skill levels and also his temperament, that he's able to transition so quickly from the clay season to the grass season. And his lack of experience now is not even showing. So he is definitely, hopefully he'll be able to make it to Trump. And also, just a couple of points, heading up to Wimbledon. This season, there aren't that many players. Usually, last couple of years, Berrettini actually missed last year.
He was in good form.
Yeah. Exactly.
And there's no Kyrgios. We don't know what state Kyrgios is in. These are the traditional grass court guys, who play well on grass.
Yeah, Kyrgios obviously.
No Federer, no Nadal.
Yeah. And the point about Berrettini, I'm not sure if he'll be able to fit. He is a fantastic grass court player. In fact, he was two-time defending champion at Queens. He reached the final in 2021. Yeah. Unfortunately, he couldn't play last time. So we could be looking at Djokovic-Alcaraz final at Wimbledon. Wow.
Could happen.
That'll be
and also, why, I'm just getting back to grass. Why is it that you don't need to be the most fittest athlete to win on grass?
Yeah.
Because grass, of all the three surfaces, or four, if you look at the two different hardcourt surfaces at the US and at the Australian, the grass is a living organism of its own. It's a living organism. Okay? To play there, you don't need raw power like you need it on clay. On clay, the Nadal physicality matters. Yeah. The Djokovic great never say die attitude matters on the hard courts of the Australian, where it's very hot. It's more of a test of your all-round abilities as an athlete, I think. For me, that's why Djokovic has been doing very well over there. I remember that 5-setter against Nadal once, 5-setter against Murray once, and tore that shirt. Those matches went on 5 hours, 5.5 hours. Grass, I'm going to go back to an old friend of mine, Leander Paes. Didn't have the greatest serve. He was a very average serve. But what he had was the skill with the hand, the wrist. Basically the drop, you play the drop volley, you just put a bit of spin on it, and you don't know which way once that ball lands on grass, what is it going to do. Yeah. Very much like clay, because in clay, you can just play if you're a touch player, if you sort of get in those, spin is very essential on clay. But on grass is different. You can do a lot of things, take the pace off and just skid it around and all. Skillful players do well on grass.
Yeah.
And there's a lack of it, I think, on the tour right now. I think Djokovic is sort of understood. Federer was very skillful. You look at Steffi Graf. Steffi Graf didn't have a backhand to right arm, or have a backhand with a slice. But it was effective on grass.
And it's interesting to note how Alcaraz has developed his game. Like in US Open, we saw him, zooming down the net and playing those games. But the last match that I saw, or the Queens Club Champions, he was playing baseline.
Hey, yesterday's match was all baseline, except they went forward, but he displayed the surety of touch which is required to kill off points.
Exactly.
See, I don't think tennis has seen a better volleyer of late. Our generation, the previous generation would have a McEnroe or whatever. But this generation, Federer has been your best serve and volley player. I think Kyrgios comes close on grass.
Oh, yeah. You don't see that as often as you used to serve
and Djokovic isn't a serve and volleyer, but Djokovic can come to the net and finish things off.
Remember, Tim Henman at Wimbledon? Yeah. That's all he used to do, serve and volley.
No, Federer initial years, a lot of serve and volley there.
But who else, if not Djokovic and Alcaraz? As we mentioned, Nick Kyrgios is one. In fact, Alcaraz also said that Kyrgios is one of those guys who can...
Yeah, but he hasn't played.
But exactly. He played one match and he looked very off-color and injured. And we're not sure that will he be able to make it to the Wimbledon in the best of his health.
It'll be disappointing if he is not able to make it. I think his run last year, it showed another side of Nick Kyrgios, and it showed that even though he got that bye in the semi-final
against
Nadal, it showed that he could win 4-5 games on the bounce and play high quality tennis, and he showed that in the final as well. He won one set.
Took a set, yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be very unfortunate if he's not.
Even if he plays, he hasn't played since October. It's very difficult.
Yeah.
So who's left? Murray? No chance.
He isn't even seeded, Andy Murray, but he will.
Yeah, he won. There was hope in Britain after he won back-to-back challenger events.
Yeah, but then lost in the first round.
First match of
Queens, right?
Queens, lost.
A challenger. let's be fair.
Yeah,
challenger is not
the
top level.
I think Murray himself felt that he needed to get a few games under his belt before Queens. But
he didn't play Wimbledon because of that.
Yeah.
And this looks like, it's Djokovic's to lose.
Yeah.
Irrespective of who's number 1, number 2. It's his to lose. Let's run through, one guy who could do well, Auger-Aliassime. But I don't know how fit he is.
Yeah, because
He's got that game.
He's reached the.
He's top 10. He was top 10.
No, I'm saying Wimbledon. His best is. I think he's reached
Quarter.
this. Maybe it's the quarterfinal. We'll have to check that. But
yeah. But this season he
hadn't-
hasn't been doing that well. I mean, he was one of those guys like
He's
last year.
unfortunate. He got
Yeah.
injured.
Yeah, he got
He got injured. He fell ill. That exactly after the Oz Open, heading into the Sunshine Double, there were some issues over there, and he was in good form.
He was in good form, exactly.
They won the Davis Cup last year. The previous to that, they had won the ATP Cup, or they won the ATP Cup, I think. The ATP Cup got cancelled this year, right? Last year they won the ATP Cup, and then he won the Davis Cup. So yeah, he's that kind of a player who has the game. But does he have the mental makeup to win a Grand Slam yet? That is the question. I mean, see, winning a Grand Slam, it comes down to 5 or 6 players. Djokovic, Alcaraz, Medvedev, Tsitsipas, Zverev.
Zverev on grass is his
Yeah.
least favorite surface.
Yeah, that's it. 5, 6 players. I mean, maybe add Kyrgios. Now, of all of them, only 2 look like contenders to face off in a final. Djokovic and Alcaraz. Again, grass is a funny surface, anything can happen, but
Another player that I personally like is Holger Rune. I mean, he's also always in the mix, but he hasn't got that big of a win where he can challenge in a Grand Slam. But
okay, let's look at what Ron Bach says. Yes, Alcaraz can win Wimbledon. But just some comments would help. Give us some talking points to discuss, Ron. Ronald W. Kez says, yes, he will. Lots of people saying he will. He can win Wimbledon. Both of them. Both of them.
He will win.
Will win.
everyone loves a underdog story, and everyone is underdog
But
against
Alcaraz is not.
Novak
Alcaraz is an underdog.
against Novak Djokovic.
Grass against Djokovic.
Everyone is an underdog.
Now, what happens with the women's? We haven't gone there yet. That's a different chat for a different day. But I think that one surface where Iga isn't as dominant is probably grass. But it's open. Kvitova winning.
Yeah.
Ooh, and on grass. I mean, so I'm saying grass takes a lot of your physicality and takes a lot out of your grit out of the thing. It's about that skill on grass. And that's why the traditional grass court players are the ones who've always sort of done well, you know. I mean, Henman would barely struggle to get to a quarter-final at another Grand Slam, but he was always around. I think, 4 Wimbledon semi-finals? Yeah. There was Greg Rusetsky, Ivanisevic he was a freak. And Sampras, obviously. So, yeah, interesting. But the poll is very close. The poll is not as close as Ronald W.K. wants us to admit. This is the poll. Can Carlos Alcaraz win Wimbledon?
Oh, 52% say yes, he can. Guys, are you aware there's a guy called Novak Djokovic? We have
No, but 52% it's in that error margin, you know. This is just 1% vote here either way.
48% say no.
This is as good as a 50-50.
I mean, yeah. Hopefully we get a full match where he stays for the 5 sets and he maintains.
But the person we all want to win Wimbledon, we saw him yesterday playing tennis on center court. A certain Roger Federer. You see that? Playing with the Princess of Wales.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Roger Federer back on center court in his whites, playing against the future Queen of England. I think this is the traditional Wimbledon opener to get the courts ready. We'll try and see if we can put that out at 6:30 this evening on WION Sports. But on that note, what's coming up WION Sports?
Okay. Why don't you start since you started the day?
So, I mean, there's just Barcelona have confirmed that they have signed Manchester City's treble-winning midfielder Ilkay Gundogan.
Club captain.
Yeah. So that is there, and Messi has reflected on his 2-year stint at Paris Saint-Germain, saying that we all knew that he had a fractured relationship with the fans. He threw some light over it before heading to Inter Miami. And
interesting result to watch out for in cricket. The match is still on.
Yeah.
But the West Indies is pretty shaky at the moment. Huh? They could get knocked out. It's a long if, but they need to win today.
Yeah.
They lost to Zimbabwe, and they need to win right now to go through to the Super 6. And remember, the top 2 teams go to the World Cup, which is happening later this year. Keegan Bradley has become the 6th player to win back-to-back, to win multiple PGA Tour titles in the same season. And that puts him firmly in Ryder Cup contention. And the other interesting story I found was football chaps heading into Formula 1, Vidhu?
Yes, of course. We have Wrexham owners, Ryan Reynolds and
Deadpool.
Yes, Rob McElhenney, if I'm getting that right. Both of them have invested in Alpine, the F1 team.
200 million.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. So they are becoming.
You could have bought. You bought Wrexham for $1 million probably.
Yeah.
Newcastle went for 300 million. So
another documentary probably coming up with Alpine.
But I hope they know that unlike that bus parade, the Formula One teams go at least 200x into that speed. Yeah.
And also the women's Ashes is on. It's Australia slightly ahead. England need 151 runs to win. They're
5 wickets to go.
in hand. Yeah. So that's also heading towards an interesting finish. And more players joining the Saudi Pro League.
Of course, Kalidou Koulibaly adding to the Chelsea exodus to the Saudi Pro League. And there are many more players who are about to join. Edouard Mendy, Hakim Ziyech. So that's it.
Yeah, so that and much more on our show at 6:30 p.m. IST. Thanks for tuning in.